Okay. We continue where we left off. Be murdered and blackmailed. Oh, oh yeah. Thank you. So where's found out? In Tata. No. What need to do now?
Good morning, Detective. You slept well?
I'm afraid I did not. I was hoping for at least a moment of pleasant slumber, but alas, it was not to be. Finding the Major's killer is
Please,
the only thing
helicopters
that
back.
will put my mind at ease.
In that case, Detective, what can I do to help?
Coffee.
In that snow. If someone was out there, we'd have another body on our hands.
I realize how strange it sounds. I would not believe it myself if I had not seen it with my own eyes.
Staff have reported seeing things in the dark before, but it always just turns out to be shadows. It was likely just your mind playing tricks. I'm afraid our Lizzie is not well. I think the events of yesterday were too much for her. We'll have to just make do without her this morning.
As Wordsworth once stated, rest and be thankful. Perhaps a chance of peace and relaxation will work wonders.
And will I, be, oh.
She is currently eating breakfast alone in the dining room. It's how she prefers it. But if you wish to speak with her now...
It's important to speak with her, but perhaps it'd be better to loud her to finish. I do not wish to upset her before I even ask question. But first, yes, in the garden.
I would, but I'm afraid I found this morning that the telephone lines aren't working. The snow continued through the night and must have damaged them.
Give me a second. Oh.
Even if we could use the telephone, I don't think anyone would be able to reach us.
In that case, it will be up to myself alone to solve the case.
I'll let you know if anything changes. But until some of the snow clears, enough for the carriages to arrive, we are snowed in.
Or they are not able to call up or leave the house to find help for the location. It also means none of the guests are able to leave. Have until the snow cleared to find not only Madame's the blackmailer, but also the killer.
Taken care of. Master Demir and his brother, after sobering up, helped me move him into the cellar. Best place for the time being.
Très bien. I imagine there is no reason for anyone to go down there.
Besides me, no one. Once this snow clears, we will be able to move him from the house.
Your assistance has been most valuable as always.
I speak to her.
Good morning, Detective. I hope you were comfortable last night.
Bonjour, mademoiselle. The room was more than pleasant, merci. I'm afraid my mind was not in a state to enjoy it to its full potential, though.
I can't imagine any of us slept soundly last night.
Hopefully, guilt will be weighing heavily on someone's shoulders this morning.
Perhaps on more than one set.
I'm sorry if I was not much help last night, Detective.
On the contrary, your inside knowledge of the guests was of great help to my investigation. But there are many more
Hello,
questions
Network.
that require
How you
answers.
doing?
His position? You mean about him living here?
Oui, even in a house this size, you must see a lot of each other.
I enjoyed having him here. When I was away with Gideon, it was comforting to know Maman was not alone. Although his work with Mr. Da Silva has kept him away from the house of late.
What can you tell me about their relationship, working or otherwise?
There is not much to tell, only that there is no love lost
Good.
between them. He was always quite private about his work. I know that he was helping Mr. Da Silva with some safety matters.
I found a check addressed to the Major from Monsieur Da Silva. It noted security consulting.
Ah, that's right, security. With his military training, he helped Mr. Da Silva prepare for any trouble with the strikes. A development? Oh, detective, I knew I could count on you.
It may not be the news you had wished for, though. Another letter has been found.
Addressed to me? I don't know how much more I can take of this.
Pardonnez-moi, mademoiselle. Although it has been written in the same manner, using similar phraseology, it was not sent for your eyes, rather the Major's. Or at least that is how it seems.
I'm sorry, detective, I don't understand. It is addressed to him or not?
I found it in the Major's study yesterday while conducting my preliminary search. Whether he is the author of the letter or the recipient, I am still yet to discover.
Heavens no, he could not do that.
You did not hesitate for a moment.
Why would he do such a thing? And then to send a letter to himself? It just doesn't make sense.
Merci for your time, mademoiselle. You are to a detective what an umbrella is to a traveler on a wet day.
Useful?
Exactement.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Bonjour, Monsieur Demir.
Detective Poirot, how are you?
The truth, monsieur. With each step towards uncovering the blackmailer, I am thrown 2 steps back as to the identity of the Major's killer.
Is there something I can help you with? Archibald came to me and asked for my help in the matter. My brother and I dealt with it.
Merci for your help. It is a job that only the professionals should have to undertake.
It's a job that had to be done, although it may have affected my brother more than I.
How so?
At the sight of the body, the color drained from his face. Once we had reached the cellar, Zachariah took himself straight off to bed, without even a good night. Felix and Madame Vandenbosch are the only ones with keys, as far as I'm aware. Oh, and Archibald. I'm sure I heard Felix asking him to return something to it once.
I wonder why Mr. Sterling didn't mention this before.
I have not seen him since last night. I'm sure he will have been fine after a good night's sleep.
And imagine that alcohol would have acted to be a sleeping acid.
He does not
Eight.
need his younger
Maybe
brother
8.
checking in on him.
Perhaps that is exactly what he requires.
I'm not sure what he told you yesterday, Detective, but he's a big boy. He can look after himself.
I worry that may not be the case, monsieur. His time in the war came up in conversation more than once during our conversations.
He's still talking about it? I thought talking to the doctor would have stopped all of that.
Merci.
Let's speak to her.
Comtesse, I wonder if I could ask you some questions.
That is it, detective? No small talk? No inflating of one's ego?
I am afraid not, Comtesse. With the murderer still loose in the house, my mind is rather preoccupied.
Well then, detective, perhaps I can be of some assistance.
Comment, madame?
I thought you might like to know what I found on the Major's body. That certainly piqued your interest.
A man has been murdered, and you find it acceptable to fool around and joke.
Oh, please, detective. Do you really think so little of me? Archibald asked for my assistance. He knows of my medical training from my days as a nurse, and I thought I would be able to help. Even if it has been some years.
It was not his place to grant you access to the body.
I shall remember to keep my assistance to myself next time. The single stab wound, which you no doubt already knew. The knife was held in their right hand. I would say their predominant hand.
I pray myself a order and manner, mother back, and this enough. Look, oh, Eden. Murder has victim that.
Judging by the depth of the wound, I would say there was no great force put into the strike. More, if I had to say what weapon was used, a small sharp knife or dagger.
This microphone my suspicions on Major Killer being used to kill him.
I understand it may be
Major's
difficult
knife,
for one
not
to
killer.
keep such information to yourself, but I ask you to try. Your involvement has already tainted my investigation.
You are welcome, detective.
When my officer is going on in this house, then
S'il vous plaît, Comtesse. Keep this information to yourself. I cannot see the logic. Things are beginning to become...
one can't be spied with Angeline and Felix Bond. He has figure not alive for long.
I must take a different approach.
Why?
Is there something? This will not get me any closer to my... What a revelation!
I've had a man returning from war, but their mind remains. While I speak with, so I take opportunity to talk to Jan in the kitchen.
Bonjour, madame. I hope...
They obviously did not teach you manners at wherever it was you schooled.
Pardon for the interruption, but these questions cannot wait.
Get on with it then. I'm sure you're aware he was not the easiest man to get along with. His hot temper made him a number of foes.
A hot temper is reason enough to kill a man.
His mouth often acted before his brain. Perhaps someone had grown tired of dealing with it. Seeing as I heard Mr. Becker's in what I would describe as an unnecessarily loud exchange of words yesterday, he would be my first suspect.
You heard them yourself.
How could I not? The volume they were shouting at, I could hear them from the study in my room.
You did not think it fitting to tell me this yesterday?
I didn't think Felix was going to wind up dead and a murderer loose in my house. My apologies, detective.
Although I must learn more of this radio, and it's not Madame that I expect to answer from.
I assume you are talking about the supposed blackmail letter.
Oui, madame. You know of it?
It arrived shortly after the first. Rather coincidental, if you ask me.
I'm not sure I understand what you're trying to say, madame.
He no doubt had secrets hidden away. But do you honestly think Felix had anything of value to his name worth threatening him for?
Perhaps you should enlighten me.
Well, he was here, living in my house, eating my food, prepared by my staff. Does that answer your question, detective? I wouldn't put it past him to have written it himself, in the hopes of getting some sympathy from me.
And the other letters?
He probably wrote those too. If Angeline paid the first, that would have given him the money to pay the second letter. He is the White Knight, saves the day, and expects to live here happily ever after.
I do not expect you to be so blunt with her thoughts towards Major. I was under the impression there was more than less, no less.
What is it you wish to know?
You two have been friends for some time now. And while I do not mean to pry, has your relationship only...
If you are trying to insinuate that Mr. De Silva and I are running around like schoolchildren, you could not be further from the truth. He was friends with my husband, for goodness sake.
Oui, I understand they worked together. Investments, if I am correct.
Mr. De Silva was the voice of reason that my husband should have listened to more often, instead of throwing our money at businesses that were already on the verge of bankruptcy.
Merci, madame. I shall not bother you any further.
Okay, she's done. Kitchen. There's you.
Bonjour, madame. You must be the wonderful cook.
Wonderful and modest, sir. I am Rihanna.
My taste buds thank you for the ravishing meal last night. It has been some time since I ate so well.
Glad to hear it, sir.
S'il te plaît, madame. A detective is fine.
In that case, mademoiselle is fine for me, and I will ignore your presumption of marriage.
Très bon, mademoiselle.
That's right. I've seen staff come and go, but a house always needs a trustworthy cook.
I agree. But if I was to eat what you prepare every day, I fear I may be the size of La Maison.
Not a bad thing, detective. You could do with some meat on your bones.
Well, with the snow still not clearing, we may be stuck here for the weekend. Perhaps I should look to adjust my pantalon buttons.
I did. Monsieur Archie told me what had happened. Bruises can swell fast, so I took him some ice to bring it down.
Jane, Mrs. Stalin told me it was Major that requested the ice.
How was the Major when you saw him?
Grumpy, as always.
I suppose one would not take kindly to being punched as he was.
Punched or not, he was as ungrateful as ever.
I shall not keep you any longer. Merci, mademoiselle.
I gather all I need from them two. Return to the Grey Hall. nothing in here for one. Let's see, there she is.
I must act on thought and fact.
Thunderstorm.
Yeah?
Order and method. That is the way to...
Wow.
Come, my little grey cells. I should not be surprised by my own...
Angelina and Cursor are two impossible of major, then there must be a reason for it. Dr. Lean Garden. Bit of it now.
Is there something I can help you with, Detective? You have got the wrong end of the stick, Detective. Maman has snapped at him recently, but it was nothing more than that. It was something to do with the letter. I heard them in the library before Maman shouted and he stormed out of the room past me.
Could it have been the blackmail letter that instigated their argument?
Why would Maman be upset with him over the letter?
Madame is of a very different opinion from yourself regarding his connection with the letters. She believes him to be the author.
That is what she told you? She has always been one to make a quick, if not rash decision, but she cannot truly believe that. I don't recall telling him directly. I did not want Maman to find out it had been paid. If he knew, surely she would.
Madame believes he may have been behind all the letters, and taking your payment of the first, then used it to pay the second and be the hero in you and your mother's eyes.
I never knew Maman had such an imagination. Where would she get a story like that from?
That is a question I was hoping you may be able to answer.
You have met him. Do you really think he's capable of such a devious plan?
It is a plan only the most crooked and underhanded could create. Is that the Major? I am not so sure.
The more I think of Madame's story, the more ridiculous and it sounds, but that does not mean it could be all out.
I shall not keep you any longer. Merci, mademoiselle.
If it will help you find the Major's killer, of course. When he returned from the war, he was a different man. Everything became about what he had seen.
I cannot speak from experience, but I can only imagine the horrors he must have witnessed.
The first weeks he would wake in the night, screaming. I found him one night, cowering behind the desk in the study. When I tried to help him out from beneath it, well, it was the first time I had ever feared for my life.
That is not why you two are no longer close?
And not at all, Detective. We were always very different in nature. While I had always wanted to follow an academic path, Zachariah was more of a free spirit. Or at least as free as our father and the laws would allow.
And yet, he ended up in the military. Quite the contrast.
Our father demanded that he at least try to do something with his life. And when some of his friends joined the army, he signed up with them. It wasn't long before he moved out from the family home after his return from the army. I always assumed that he had put the war and everything that came with it behind him and was moving on. But now I see that is far from the truth.
Okay.
Order and method. Is there something? I cannot see the logic in.
Oh, okay.
Magnifique.
Wonder if the back mail the greater effect on the relationship.
Is there something I can help you? I'm afraid it had been that way for some time. Maman is not forthcoming with her emotions, as I'm sure you are aware. But I could tell she had not been happy with their arrangement for the last few months.
What gave you that impression?
There was not one particular thing that she expressed. It was just the way she spoke to him and of him when he wasn't present.
I shall not keep you any longer.
Now in the garden. Found the evidence of the figure last night on one hand aquarium. I've not seen it as silence struggles. But on the other, there's more questions there. Okay.
Aha.
Lighter. Then on the door I left out probably before the snow. Trust me, you can see that. There's a fountain.
Aha.
It's almost disappear in the snow. So we will see too many birds. But I need to know. Hello, Chuck. Yes, I'm fine, Joe. How about you?
Oh.
The house is completely snowed. Does not look like the without going anywhere. Hello, Pinky. How you doing? And thank you for serving. There is a small trail of footprints in the snow. The major was seen walking around there yesterday. Believe her. Yeah, we got everything.
Whatever you need, Detective. Certainly, Detective.
This room is still a crime scene and should have remained untouched. Should have been. I request starting to probably wrapped up and move. Someone obvious looking for something. Major's document. The major has recently taken out a large loan.
Huh.
No track.
Huh.
And I must admit, Baza being a word, perhaps Latin is the way to win. Strange. And people told that I do not think they're being a major.
Oh.
That's strange. And I was yes. They have still let us to the woman. Sorry, but I'm not reading this. It seems there is a great deal in a major relationship. Yeah, next one. Lawrence.
I must act on thought and... This will not get me any close. I must take a different...
Oh, no. No one.
Another success.
The major paid the letter that addressed to him. He must be worried enough that something will be revealed to the public. What?
Some would say a lucky guess.
The hidden photo of them with Anthony's attention to him who he cares deeply.
Come, my little Grace. Is there something I am... Come, my little Grace.
I keep going on.
The pieces of the puzzle are...
I believe the major do everything remain in the complete life, but would be sued solo as fake the blackmail like
see the logic in this. This will not get me any closer. I must act on thought. What a revelation!
The evidence shows that the major was not a blackmailer. Major was the victim just like Angelique. Whoever is planning these letters knows a great deal many people. I wonder how many more receive similar letters. Between a major and had been blackmailed, the letter was not wanted by his hand.
Detective Poirot, I have been asked to inform you that Lady Van den Bosch has returned to her room, and she wishes not to be disturbed.
Merci. Madame certainly has mastered the art of subtlety.
They may not be the exact words she used, but I'm sure you can imagine. Excuse me, I have some further duties to attend to in the pantry.
Perhaps I should take this opportunity to search the top floor. Now there's no one to Here's one room and what I have. Now we can go to the top floor.
Ah.
Simple.
Oh.
That's in the book.
Ah. Huh.
Green one.
Oh. Hmm.
And green one. No. Major screen, we can't clean it. Sorry, man.
Ah.
Collecting of children's toys. It's the same. You see them stored away, not being enjoyed.
Ah.
The time and the skill to take this bit.
Huh.
Hello, Chris. How you doing?
Order and method. I must take a different approach. This will not get me any
I was looking at that.
I should not be surprised.
It seems the major left it complete. Need to do. I have to time to speak with Anthony again. Just be able to give us.
Detective Poirot, are you any closer to uncovering the truth of Felix's involvement with the letters?
I am, mademoiselle. I can confirm that he was not the author of the blackmail letters.
So the author is still out there.
Oui, but it will not be long before they are apprehended, and the only letters they shall be penning will be from behind iron bars.
Your confidence is rather assuring. Thank you, Detective. I'm sorry, Detective. I did not intend to leave your mind so full of thoughts.
No apology is required. It actually made me question my whole chain of thinking. What if there had been a collusion between them, and the Major's murder was planned, organized, and orchestrated to make the investigation seem almost impossible?
Oh my, Detective, that is quite a theory.
Every guest has a motive. You confirmed that with the mention of Mademoiselle Conrad and the Major's fight. Supplying one another with a rock-solid alibi would surely throw off any detective.
But not you.
Correct, mademoiselle. It would take much more to stamp Detective Poirot.
I haven't seen that book in so long. Yes, it was a gift for my 10th birthday. I have read it from cover to cover countless times. He left such a lovely inscription too.
It sounds as though there is a side to the Major I did not get to see. Was it common for him to bring you gifts?
Not common, but if he had been away for some time, he would bring me a small memento from his travels. He hasn't done that in some time, though. There were. I'm afraid they may have gathered some dust being in the storage room for so long. I kept them in hope of giving them to my child when the time comes.
It sounds as though he had always cared about you.
His presence at the house was comforting for us both after Father died, even if sometimes he was a little too overprotective.
Give me a second. It's cold. Oh, 13. All right. 14. Okay, I'm back. I'm back. One second.
That's right. Ever since I can remember, Felix has been around.
It seems as though she has a number of support networks. The Major, her friendship with the Countess, not forgetting Monsieur da Silva.
Maman has many friends. I know how she may seem to most, but once you break the hard shell...
There is a further shell waiting to be broken?
Oh, very good, detective.
Forgive me, mademoiselle. I only jest.
It's quite alright. You are not the only one that feels a razor tongue. She's grateful you are here, especially now, whether she shows it or not.
I'm so yet to see this version. And that actually is right. I'm not sure I will get my hopes up.
They have often come to blows when it concerns Maman. They are both trying to protect her, but they themselves cannot seem to get along.
She spoke of his desire to join the, how do you describe it? Social elite.
This isn't the first time she has vocalized that concern. She thinks the Major was just using our family name to make his way to the top.
And you do not agree?
I will not deny he has shown interest in Maman's social circles, but they have been friends since even before I was born. Surely all those years of friendship was not just to raise his social standing.
Angeline obviously do not believe what the as said Major is just that rather.
How do you mean, detective?
I imagine a house of this size is rather costly, keeping it in the immaculate condition it is in.
Maman looks after the financial side of the house, but I think she has had to ask him more than once for a contribution of sorts.
I shall not keep you any longer. Merci, man.
Everything I needed.
Aha.
Nothing.
Detective Poirot, what do you think you are doing in here?
I have something I wish to discuss with you.
Well, I hope it is important enough to justify barging into one's bedroom.
I assure you it is.
Good, because this has gone on far too long. We are snowed in this house while a murderer runs amok.
I can understand your frustrations, but it is not as simple as...
You were once an incompetent officer, and now it seems you are just as incompetent as a detective.
If I was not being lied to and misled at every turn, perhaps the murderer would already be in custody.
I hope you are not suggesting I had something to do with Felix's murder.
I am suggesting that if I had the support that everyone claims they are offering, we would be in a very different situation.
If you have something you want to ask, I suggest you ask me now. We met before Angeline was born, so he was often at the house when she was growing up.
And where was it you two met?
I was attending an event. Felix was also in attendance as a serving officer. A conversation was struck.
So it was not through the Viscount that you two met?
I did not require my husband to start conversations on my behalf.
It was you that instigated it then?
My, detective. That active imagination of yours has taken you on quite some journey.
Adan is tempted to.
Edwin spent much of his time away on business before Angeline was born. Felix was a welcome distraction from the loneliness of the house.
You were alone in the house?
The staff continued their duties, of course, but trying to get any sort of sophisticated or cultured conversation from them was like drawing blood from a stone.
And when Angeline was born?
Edwin remained at home. It was his duty as a father.
And the Major?
He had his own business and life to tend to. But we remained in touch via letter. Around the time of Edwin's passing, Felix had relocated to the area. I'm sure he has hundreds of letters in there. Most of them could and should have been thrown away a long time ago. You are going to have to be more specific.
I refer to the letter addressed to you, the one of a romantic nature.
Romantic nature? Oh, please, Detective. Felix did not have a romantic bone in his body.
He made his intentions quite clear in the letter. I must admit I myself was surprised.
You really do have quite the active imagination, Detective. If that is how you wish to interpret it, so be it. But I can assure you, the Major did not think of me that way, and certainly did not include it in a letter.
1 second.
I think that is all for now. Merci, madame. Is there something I... Magnifique.
Oscar images stepped up and... Yes.
Come, my little Grace. I must take a different approach if I am to uncover the truth.
Hello, Jacqueline. How you doing? Yes, I do understand. Look,
I cannot see the logic in...
thank you.
Things are beginning to become clearer.
Give me a second. Yeah? Okay. Off now.
Is this really necessary? He may have stayed in my home, but Felix was a grown man, Detective. What he kept, hidden or otherwise, has nothing to do with me.
But it does not surprise you that he had such a photograph?
We have been friends, and he has been there for Angeline for many years, but you find it strange that he keeps a reminder of us? Perhaps that says more about you, Detective.
What I do find strange is that if he did hold a flame for you, why he would never express it.
If he did, it was not reciprocated. I have not even considered another since my husband's passing. Not that it is any of your business.
Oh, Santa. Hello, how's the fellows? What are you doing?
I think that is all for now.
Right. Have no romantic feelings.
I must act on thought and fact. Another success. I never doubted myself.
I must ask, do you try to dine with... Thank you. Feeling? Okay. Look at it again.
Is this really... Who I allow in my house is none of your business. I do not have to explain anything to you.
I did not think you were one for charity.
I would not expect you to think much of anything. There is no need to talk on it any further, but I'm sure you will remember that, financially speaking, we have had our issues.
Oh, yeah. No, I did that
Need
one.
I repeat myself, detective? There is no need to talk any more on the subject. Men and women can remain friends without any romantic involvement. I'm sure you are aware of that. Your insistent questioning on such trivial matters are getting on my last nerve. There is a murderer and a blackmailer to be found. That is your job here. How many times do I have to tell you? There was no romantic feelings between us. I have grown weary of this conversation, Poirot. There is nothing more to say. I have explained this to you already.
Madame, you continue to withhold the truth.
And you continue to get on my last nerve. I am not obliged to tell you every detail of my private life.
But when it impedes my investigation...
Believe what you wish. You clearly have no idea what you're talking about. Who I allow it... I would not... He was a man that required no protection, detective. Especially from me.
That is the impression I had of him, which is why your defensive stance warrants questioning.
Your insistent questioning on such trivial matters are getting on my last nerve. There is a murderer and a blackmailer to be found. That is your job here. How many times do I have to tell you? There was no romantic feelings between us. I have grown weary of this conversation, Poirot. There is nothing more to say.
Madame, you continue to withhold the truth.
And you continue to get on my last nerve. I am not obliged to tell you every detail of my private life.
But when it impedes my investigation...
If only you were this focused on finding the blackmailer and...
Madame.
Very well. I did not lie about how we met. I was attending an event, raising money for... Oh, I cannot recall now. It had been some time since I had returned home, and was rather missing English soil. I was aware of Felix's invitation, or at least that there was to be several British officers attending the party, and that is where our friendship began. He was a warm reminder of home, and I enjoyed conversing with him. We shared walks in the park and read together. As I said, he was a welcome distraction from the days spent alone. I shall go no further with the details, but I will say, I had no intention on being unfaithful to my husband. It was never our plan to go that far. Once I found out I was pregnant, I knew it had to stop.
The Viscount never questioned Mademoiselle's birth?
In his mind, he had no reason to, and he shouldn't have had to. It was my mistake to bear. If he knew the truth, our lives would have been ruined. I told Felix that he was to stay away, but he had no intention to. He became an uncle figure to Angeline, and they grew closer after Edwin's death. I could not tell her the truth. Too much time had passed. The secret remained only between him and I. Until now.
And what were the Major's thoughts on revealing the truth?
He wanted to tell her everything. He wanted her to know exactly who he was. But I told him no. It would not have been the poignant reconciliation that he expected. She would not understand. I tried to retrieve them from the safe after everyone had retired last night. But when I opened the safe, they were nowhere to be found. I assumed he must have hidden them somewhere else.
When I entered the study this morning, they were as visible as a red notice on a police station wall.
I would appreciate if you did not compare them to the face of a wanted felon.
Pardon, madame.
But that does mean someone else in the house has seen them. I don't understand. Why would they return them?
A mystery that is still yet to be solved.
Okay. We're back. Ooh. Okay. Whee! How you doing? See, Jacqueline? Love you too. Madame beating the beat to the safe and okay.
It must be.
My
But I
reading
have
is
told
not very
no one.
good.
And the Major?
Felix promised me he wouldn't tell a soul, and I believed him. But even if he wanted to.
If a major has slipped even once through the years, perhaps intoxically state is a secret that many would see.
You did not think anyone knew, and that is why you disregarded the letter.
If you bow to these criminals, they will only try to claw more from you.
I think that is all for now. Merci, madame.
Between the major and ransom has been solved. Major has been blackmailed. The letters were not written by his hand. Okay. Oh, we completed that one. Blackmail and a murder. Major murder. Can I speak to him?
Detective Poirot, how is your investigation coming?
Monsieur Sterling, I must admit, I have learned much more than I was expecting to.
You'll be wrapping the case up soon, then?
One has never finished learning, monsieur, and in this case, I shall need to continue if I am to find the Major's killer.
It might help to vocalize your thinking. I'm all ears.
Sterling offers a instant. If I was to state purpose of my investigation, while holding back certain truth.
Monsieur, would you gather the guests and staff in the salon?
Right away, Detective. Can I ask for what reason?
I shall reveal all once everyone is together.
Chapter 6. The secret. The search. That's the search.
Detective, what is the meaning of all this?
Madame, I ask that you all lend me your ears for only a few moments. What I have to say is of great significance to everyone. You are all invited here to celebrate the engagement of Mademoiselle Angeline van den Bosch and Monsieur Gédéon Demire, the coming together of two prevalent families. But the celebrations were short-lived, as Major Felix Hagen was found dead in his study by a young servant of the house. It then became my responsibility and obligation as a detective to uncover the truth behind his demise. My initial examination of his study exposed a number of things I did not expect to find. Things I have no desire to divulge at this time, but what I can say is this. It was no simple murder. A letter demanding ransom for a continued silence confirmed this. I am sure some, if not all of you, have heard whispers of a series of blackmails that have plagued the social elite in recent weeks. After hearing of the letters in the Major's study, you may ask if it was him behind the letters.
What's
You
that?
may further ask if he was preparing his next
the
threat
gravis
to
under
another
some sign.
unsuspecting victim. It is a question that crossed even my mind. That was until I sought the truth.
Why is it
That in
coming
fact
now?
it was the Major that had fallen victim to our blackmailer Mystérieux. Last night I spoke with you
Who's
all,
Mark or
confirmed your whereabouts in the house over the course of the evening,
Mark?
and while I would have expected such questioning to reveal a potential suspect, what I learned was that it could not have been one of you.
What do you mean, not one of us? The man was stabbed. He hardly did that to himself. There is still a killer in the house.
Hello,
Pardon,
Scott.
monsieur,
How
if
you
you would allow
doing?
me to finish.
And thank you for the
It
light.
could not have been only one of you. Rather a partnership, in cahoots, if you will. Conversations today have revealed facts that I was not expecting to discover. And although they may have muddied and complicated my investigation, what I must do to bring the guilty parties to justice has become clearer. Those of you that spun stories in an attempt to confuse and derail my investigation have made a grave mistake in underestimating my intelligence. Other detectives may fall for such deception, but I can assure you, Detective Poirot is no such fool. My investigation is far from over, and swift justice shall be dealt to those that have committed such appalling acts and have continued to mislead and lie
Hello,
to
Game
protect
Ribbon Guy. How
themselves.
you doing?
Now, I must continue mon enquête, and I shall leave you to consider that you may be beside a cold-hearted killer. Bonsoir. Monsieur Sterling, un moment.
Quite the speech, Detective.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Merci, but it was not made to entertain, more to warn the guilty parties that I am hot on their heels, no matter how clever they believe themselves to be.
Well, if there is anything I can do. Is that really necessary?
The murderer remains at large, and there is still no sign of the weapon. I would say that makes them essential.
Of course. I still just cannot imagine any of them being guilty of his murder.
It may be hard to imagine, but it is the truth.
Nothing. But I was so preoccupied with the Major. Sorry, Detective. Should I have?
Perhaps it was just my mind playing games again.
Maybe one of the guests got lost and wandered in.
If the guest took a wild turn and found herself in the Major's bedroom first, I'm sure they will not have to through the door next door.
Master Hagen had a key, obviously, and Lady Vandenbosch.
But the key is not in one.
When requested, aye. If something is required from there when Master Hagen is not around.
Forgive me. If he is not around, how is it you access this safe?
It's not what you think, Detective.
What I think is that you have been trusted with a copy of the key, and you have lied to me about it.
I only lied because of the trouble I can get into with Lady Vandenbosch.
At this moment, monsieur, you should be more worried about the trouble you shall find yourself in with the law.
You're wrong with okay. Was it a different? Yeah, it was a different thing, wasn't it?
I know how it will sound, but I lost my key. I must have set it down somewhere, and it has been tidied away. Master Hagen asked so rarely for me to go in the safe, I didn't think it would be missed.
Hello, Predation. Sorry, I said that wrong. How you doing? Oh, don't worry, Matt. Certain story of lost his key took me as agency was broken into with the document.
I should have said this morning. I'm sorry.
Monsieur, I am not quite sure you understand the severity of what has happened.
I am well aware, Detective. I just thought she would be able to help.
Would you allow a man with a smoking gun to remove his bullet from a victim's chest?
I suppose not.
I understand that Stalin is only trying to help, but surely you must think what he could do for the... Yeah.
I would like to begin my searches now. Since it is closest, I will start with the West Wing.
I may not be back when you return. Here is the key to the other rooms. Please return it when you're done.
Merci. I shall guard it with my life.
First, let's play the... Yeah. Okay, we can't go upstairs. I still make myself known before I enter.
Entrez.
The room has been a bit messy. Perhaps a happy couple engagement has someone romance me.
Detective, what a pleasure. I did not expect to see you in my chambers.
In a purely professional capacity, I can assure you.
There is no need to act so stiff, detective.
Madame, after the revelation of your actions last night, I'm afraid my sense of humor is all but gone.
I will not apologize again for merely trying to help. Shall we get straight to it then? Let us not waste your time any further, detective. That would be Inga. She has been one of the most promising young women that has come from the shelter.
Madame Vandenbosch took in a young lady from your shelter.
There is no need to sound so surprised, detective. She does have a heart.
I did not mean to sound so cruel. I just did not expect Madame to hire someone of that background after the incident with her previous maid, Florette.
People change, detective. You should not judge someone on their past actions.
Believe me, Countess, I know that only too well.
Be careful, detective. That almost sounded like a compliment.
It is your actions in this house that have been questionable, Madame. Your work outside is something that many more could take note of.
We do what we can. We wouldn't be doing a very good job if I could only help one girl. I in fact found work for one of them as a maid in Monsieur da Silva's house recently.
She has fitted into Monsieur's home well.
What is better, detective? That she remained in an abusive house, or she is able to rebuild her life with an honest wage in a prosperous house?
When put like that, is she happy in her position?
The happiest she has been in years. I check in with them all as often as possible. And if there was a problem, I would know.
I'm glad to hear that more girls are building better food for themselves, and it will help more society that it has been able to be happened.
Merci, Madame. Hmm. Aha.
Question for the family. As you thank you. The snow outside.
Oh.
The red roof.
Huh.
First aid kit for medicine equipment. Bandages, plasters.
Ah.
Go ahead, detective. A compliment and now an apology. Well, detective, you certainly have changed your tune.
There was something I was still unsure of. You mentioned that your training was some years ago.
From my days as a nurse, oui.
If that is so, why would you have brought several pieces of equipment usually found in a physician's bag?
One must always be prepared, detective.
Prepared? At an engagement celebration?
If I had not brought them, I would not have been able to assist you last night. Perhaps you should be thankful for my precaution and not so suspicious.
And as there are no bought them at all, I would not know.
Merci, Madame.
Okay, Steve's done. Next room. It's time to question her and her relation with Major. First, go look around. Nothing in there for her.
Detective, what can I do for you?
Mademoiselle, I am sure you understand my reasoning for such intrusion.
If it's going to clear my name, be my guest.
If you wouldn't mind answering some questions, it can hopefully be cleared faster.
Like I said, he's not the man he wants everyone to think he is.
Oui. But how is it you came to that conclusion?
You don't really want me to recount every conversation I've had with him, do you?
There is one particular I had in mind.
An argument would imply it was a two-way conversation.
And that is not how it was?
Here it is. I've been helping Angeline get exposure, her marriage to Gideon is big news, and his work is really paving the way for others. I saw the chance to get their names out there, and he didn't like it.
What was there not to like?
Your guess is as good as mine, Detective. But if I had to, I'd say he was jealous it wasn't his name at the top of the article.
And his reason to storm off?
Oh, you know about that. Let's just say I didn't accept his pathetic attempt to get me to stop the story. If you're gonna try and pay someone off, at least make it worth their while.
I thought the major would be a little bit supportive. Angeline, there must be more to why he would not let us.
You've really got a fascination with that guy, huh?
I would not say fascination. An interest, perhaps.
Well, I'll save you the bother of trying to find out more about him. He's not that interesting. In fact, he's a bit of a wimp if you ask me.
That is not the impression I got of him.
That's because you've only seen the side of him he wants you to. He knows what to say in front of the right people. But behind closed doors, he's clueless. Let me guess. The first thing he told you was that he was a union leader. No, the voice of the people.
A man that is proud of his work is not something to be sneered at.
Don't get me wrong, he has a way with words, and he can certainly rally a crowd. But that's about it. At the end of the day, he's a representative and nothing more. He's got to play the part, not just learn the lines.
Mademoiselle, do nothing highly of Butler. Please, oh my God.
Merci,
Come on.
mademoiselle. I shall leave you to relax.
Sure thing, Detective. And if you change your mind on that exclusive about that shooting...
If I do change it, you shall be the first to know.
Okay, let's look around. Want them. Hercule by Jackie. Sorry, but I know what you didn't know what it is. First, this belongs to Jackie. Making good story leader, man leader into
Aha.
Go right. All Felix cared about was money and filling his pockets with it. That's why he got into bed with De Silver.
The Major was not in need of money, though.
Need and want are two very different things. Did he need to move here and leech off the Madame? No, but he wanted to. As far as I know, De Silver hired him to work security. He was worried what could happen to his precious factories if things got ugly.
And your reporters were there to cover the story when it did turn that way.
My reporters go where there is news to be told.
And you predicted the violence that occurred?
Anyone could see that was gonna happen. If you ask me, Hugo should have acted sooner.
Merci, mademoiselle.
Okay. In here. Okay, next room. News interesting in there. It seemed that used to be closed, perhaps they over the fire.
Huh.
Mistaken. Drinking glow. And window.
Oh.
Nothing much in here.
Ah.
I think I must have stopped there. I do not like the wallpaper. Next. Oh, go to the second floor. With all the West guests third, I should make my way to the guest room on the east of the first floor. Nope, hold on. I think we always first this one. What's this?
Oh.
No. Okay. We're going now. Okay, we're going downstairs. We are on the second floor. No one. No one. No, we can't go in the library. Oh, I see.
Mademoiselle, we meet again.
Bonjour, Monsieur Poirot. Pardon, Détective Poirot.
Just a detective is quite all right.
Bon, can I help you with something? I was taking him a plate of food, but he didn't answer to my knocking.
You then entered the study.
I did. He wasn't moving. He just lay there.
I did not mean to upset you again. Seeing him there would be troubling for anyone, and I'm sure it is not a memory you wish to relive.
I suppose we're like a family. We argue, but most of the time we get along.
You must all be quite close, then.
Some more than others.
You refer to whom, mademoiselle?
Well, Maman Ray, sorry, Rihanna, she's been here the longest, and she's very close with Lizzie on account of Luke. Maman Ray is Luke's sister. You did not know that? I thought she would have said. She talks about him all the time. It must have been awful, losing him in those riots. Apparently, he was right at the front when they were charged. They didn't stand a chance. If I had been the one responsible for his death, I wouldn't want Maman Ray looking for me.
Mademoiselle Rihanna, Maman Ray, she has expressed her desire for revenge.
Every time she talks about what happened.
How is that the noted Luke's death is told me so long? Oh, the death of the brother is a bit more.
I guess you wouldn't know anything
Sorry
about
for
life
my
on the
reading.
streets.
It is not an experience I have had to face personally, but I understand that many are forced into it, and the lifestyle that comes with it.
Means I don't.
The lifestyle of a thief, you mean?
Put rather bluntly,
You are the first officer that has not taken one look at me and pulled out the handcuffs.
Mademoiselle, I can see you have turned your life around, and I commend you on your efforts.
Without the Countess, I would probably be rotting in a cell somewhere.
This is obviously. Okay.
Merci, mademoiselle.
Okay, well, can you search in the rooms? I wonder if Zachary is seeming interested as his brother. I should speak to him before I search his room.
Monsieur Demir, I hope you are feeling better today.
Nothing a good night's sleep couldn't fix.
Très bien. I wonder if you would be up to discussing certain matters with me.
Whatever you need. I lost my taste for death a long time ago, but it had to be done. I'm certainly in no rush to be carrying a dead body again, though.
Most understandable. I shall extend the same gratitude to you as I did to your brother.
You've spoken to him already. How is he?
Perhaps that should be a question you ask him yourself.
Yeah, maybe. I bet he had a lot to say. He always did have an opinion on the war.
When I say your past, I refer to your past as brothers.
Oh. Okay, well, what did he say?
It seems you both had the same sentiment for this party. Perhaps the bridges that you thought were once burnt are in fact primed to be reconstructed.
We'll see how probable that reconstruction is going to be. Until he sees my point of view, I don't know how we can move forward.
What is there for him to understand before the bond can be repaired?
He lost his friends in the war, the same as everyone. But somehow he has forgiven. I'm sorry, Detective, I can't. And Gideon just doesn't understand that.
After speaking with Kennedy about his brother's state of mind, I think it's the best thing for them both would be okay. There is something about Zachary's story that he's leaving out, though. The death of his friend and Conrad's weight are heavy on him.
Those two, close.
They must share something in common to be able to hold the conversation for the time they did.
If there is one thing I know about my brother, it's that he will not. No. He cannot be rude. He just doesn't have it in him.
Was it not your brother that punched Monsieur Hagen?
Ah, that's different. He was asking for it. If you put my brother in a room with 5 socialites like her, he would work his way around every single one of them, offering his full attention and finest manners.
Merci for your...
Okay, let's move on.
Oh,
Take away, but
huh.
fire.
Mm-hmm.
Dagger from the direct time in the wall.
Ah.
Oh, hold up. Zachary.
Some would say a lucky guess.
The brothers' relationship is enough to struggle with. They would not have worked together.
Always got time for my favorite detective.
You mean thinking, girl? Oh, yeah, dead.
The dagger. I wondered how long it would take for that to become an issue.
I shall give you the opportunity to explain the reason for it being here before I jump to any conclusions.
It was going to be a wedding gift for Gideon. I've maybe not been the best brother in recent years. I thought this could make up for some of it. After what happened to the Major, I thought it was a bit tasteless.
You did not see it fitting to tell me you were harboring a rather sizable knife in your room?
I wouldn't say harboring. And I wasn't expecting to be a suspect in a murder.
Merci for your assistance.
Okay. Next room. Room without him and free to search.
Oh. Huh.
No, we just look at that clock. Here you go, notebook, the scribble, meetings. It seems he has been intentionally watching trees of in kind on sex. I'm gonna do it to see if it can move. Your weapon is best beat or body. Okay. That was weird.
Hmm.
Oh. Yeah, so here you go. Okay. And that's it for me, huh? Okay. 1. Here you go.
The pieces of the puzzle.
In Jackie Oxen, she doesn't here you go, Ali. Hello, Teresa. How you doing?
The pieces of the puzzle.
Okay. Next room. The basement of the room. Okay, right top room, but we look around.
Monsieur da Silva, I am sure you understand the necessity for this type of search.
Not really, Detective. Your speech was rather spirited. but it did not give me much faith in your investigation.
I have not had my abilities questioned to my face by one of those I suspect of a crime before.
Lucy! How you doing?
Well, if you wish to prove me wrong, you should hurry up and find Felix's killer.
And I hope, with your help, monsieur, I shall.
Yes, I helped him invest some money. Unfortunately, he was not the businessman he thought he was.
Madame Vandenbosch had a very similar view. At least he could have taken solace that you were both in the same position.
I think you're confused, Detective. It was Edwin that lost his fortune, not I.
Forgive my naivete. If you were helping him make viable
Hello,
investments, would you not have seen the same
How you
opportunity
doing?
for yourself?
I told him about the opportunities.
And thank you for
I
the
did not
like.
tell him to put his whole family's wealth into it. The prospect of doing good meant more to him than his profit margins. He was bound to fail.
The business declared bankruptcy.
It did, until it was purchased for a fraction of its worth and made the new owner a small fortune.
I begin to see several more reckless side. It sounds as if
Everything that I
Away
want
from
to
my
say on that
reading.
matter has already been said.
I understand, monsieur. But what I would like to know is, was the late Viscount aware of your feelings towards his wife?
Excuse me, Detective, but you have crossed the line.
Crossed the line like an attempt to bankrupt a business partner and friend so that you'll be able to swoop in and impress a certain target of your affections.
You make such ridiculous accusations without a shred of proof.
Your reaction at the mere suggestion is proof enough, monsieur. While I cannot arrest you for betrayal of a friend, I can hope your conscience does not forget, and that will be punishment enough.
actions are not a criminal, but if there is, was. Come on. If he's gone to land before,
He didn't have
Oh,
much to speak
me
of.
too, did I?
I was always surprised at the life he lived.
Surprised in what way?
Well, considering it wasn't that long ago he came to me asking about work, I didn't think he was in such good financial shape.
You offered him a position.
Nothing that he was willing to lower himself to. That's when he began talking about what else he could do for me. If you can call what him and his team did security. For the money I paid, I did not expect them to be so reckless.
It was a considerable amount you paid him?
There's no need to divulge amounts, but it was certainly more than was expected.
One will be expected a business of selling. You have agreed a price for the major service. Why would he allow the major to barter more?
He said they were all professionals, but I saw nothing of the sort. He said he had worked with them all in the army as their superior officer. They were men that could be trusted.
But that was not the case?
I had not even met them before they arrived on site. They brought their own equipment. They looked like they knew what they were doing.
And this equipment, it included the weapons that injured and killed the workers?
It was not much of a choice, Detective. I said they didn't need them, but Felix said it was essential. He said he knew better.
The more Marshall talks, the later he deals with Major become. It begins to sound like as or no accent.
That is all for now.
Okay, well, let's look around. The letter starting with a blackmailer. When I'm reading all that. Fire. Letters. Where's the start open letter opener? Almost brand new, lies on the floor. Oh. Blackmail letter.
What?
I have spoken of a potential blackmail ring, and yet you still kept your letter to yourself.
It is none of your business. And it is nothing more than a cheap trick to have me admit something that is not true.
If that were the case, it would be strange for you to have kept the letter and brought it with you, would it not?
Your persistence is a trait I do not enjoy.
I know we didn't all that, sorry. Must be the reason you have not enjoyed.
Even if there was some truth to it, demanding a ransom like that.
I will be the judge of that. I would like to know about any and all evidence that may help my investigation. I trust there is nothing else you deem a waste of my time.
Of course not, officer. It's not as though you think I'm harboring some illicit secret. The letter was a pathetic attempt to intimidate me. Nothing more. I get accused of...
I think...
There's no... I think we...
I have spoken of a potential blackmail...
It is none of...
If that were...
Your No reason, detective. Merely saving you from wasting your time.
I will be the judge of that. I would like to know about any and all evidence that may help my investigation. I trust there is nothing else you deem.
Of course not, I have never heard so much rubbish in all my life. I value those that work hard and deserve it.
That suggests there are some that you do not respect.
Yes, well, why should I praise someone for doing a poor job? You make me sound like some monster.
Monsieur, the letter does not only discuss your questionable business dealings, but also cases of abuse against your staff. Both accusations that must be taken very seriously.
Detective, there is a difference between telling a member of my staff what to do and abuse.
And it is you that decides where that line is drawn?
In my house? Yes, it is.
It's not like being pressure to software, how you do stuff.
Excuse me? Detective, I think you are beginning to lose your mind.
I do not think it is unreasonable to question why you would feel the need to bring a letter opener with you.
Really, Detective? If I had stabbed a man with it, do you really think I would have left it lying out in my room?
Here's a correct. So, maybe someone would be so careless.
Yes, and no one asked them to.
But surely it is beneficial to both parties. Your profits must have been affected.
There are barely any profits to speak of.
Why have those talks not taken place and a deal arranged?
Monsieur Beckers has made no attempt to speak with me and offered no counter-offer. The ball is in his court, Detective.
Why are you crying for, Lucy? Oh. Wait a minute.
Please stop calling it that. I treat all my servants exactly how I always have, and no one has complained before.
That does not mean your behavior is appropriate.
They have one chance. If they are not doing the job they are hired to do, they are gone. You would be surprised how many staff expect an easy ride.
I do not expect Monsieur to treat his staffs in same. Give me a second.
Is there a specific member of staff that may have expected such a ride?
There is one girl, a new maid. I didn't expect great things from her, but Comtesse de Vos promised me she could do what was required.
This must be a young girl that Assad spoke of.
That is all for now. Order and method. That is the way to solve... This will not get me any...
Okay. Back letter.
I must take a different approach if I am...
Oh, okay.
Magnifique. Some would say a lucky...
It struck me so somehow that you would ask for help no matter impossible.
What? She approached me. I thought it was rather brash.
In what way?
Assuming that I would want to take on another servant, and one from such a troubled background. She is running the charity, not I. When he came to me, I told him that with the factories on strike and my profits pouring down the drain, I had nothing for him. But he said he could help me get them all back to work and the factories earning. His rates were steep, but he said he knew what needed to be done, and he was prepared to do it. A week passed and they were all still on strike. In fact, even more had joined them. He made excuse after excuse, demanding more and more money for the job to be done. But he never actually told me what he was going to do.
The riots.
I had no idea they were going to charge them like that. How was I meant to know?
And even following such a tragedy, he continued to demand money from you.
He said if he wanted my silence, it would cost. Do you have any idea what it could do to my livelihood, my name? If it got out that I had paid the so-called security that did that.
I have every idea, monsieur. You hired a militia to take action against your own workers. You deserve whatever name is chosen for being so morally bereft in your decision-making.
I didn't know that was what he was going to do. You must believe me.
I have to believe nothing but the truth. And the truth, monsieur, is that it is not only the Major that has the blood of those men on his hands. That is all for now. What a revelation!
No more does she let it on. If she has inside link with the staff of the house. I want to flee. We got one for the letter.
I should not be surprised.
Mal is making a staff go to the dirty work. Okay, next room. Oh, no. Okay, we finished. Then staff knob. Can I speak to her? Yes.
Is there something you need? She helped me at the shelter, and with this job.
That I am already aware of. What I am not is what else she tasked you with.
Pardon, detective?
I know that your position as a servant in this house is not your only job. What did Countess de Vos ask you to do while in this house?
She said I had to do what she asked, or I would be back on the street. I didn't want to do it. If anyone found out, I would be the prime suspect.
Okay. I would have been aware of the young Irish past, and she was warned that they would arrest her. Accept her.
Merci, madame. Another success.
What?
Things are beginning to be...
I thought it was at I'll just call it Arch. Really is keys, but now is disappearing makes sense.
Is there something you need? Nothing. She said I was to take nothing.
If it was not something she wished you to take, what was it?
She wanted me to find out information about the family and Monsieur Hagen.
Why did she request that?
At first I didn't know, but when I heard about
I'll
Mademoiselle
be right
Orpheline
back.
being
And just grab
blackmailed,
everything.
and then the Major, I knew she had used what I found.
Oh. Whereas my precisions or sterling involvement with the major save was incorrect.
I knew Monsieur Archie had a key, and it would be easy to get it from him.
You knew that the Major asked Monsieur Sterling to access the safe from time to time, and if anything was ever discovered missing, he would surely take the blame.
I never took anything. I only told the Countess what I had found.
And that was?
About Monsieur Hagen and the Madame's relationship. And Angeline.
I'm sure the Countess was pleased to hear such valuable information.
She said I had done a good job, but I needed proof. That's why I went back and got the letters last night.
So this young beating that woman to the safe last night, but why would they be left?
I fetched the letters again and took them to the Countess last night. But she shouted at me and said what a stupid girl I was.
You were only doing as she requested.
She said it was too dangerous for her to have them with you around. That's when I returned them to the study. I thought I heard someone on the stairs, so I just threw them back. It was dark, as I dared not turn the light on. Someone would have seen it.
Trying to store the key into the lock in the dark isn't it? Yeah, it's not easy.
Merci.
Okay. One. Onto that one.
I
Oh,
must act
no.
on thought and...
Okay. That? That?
I cannot see the logic in this.
That? That one?
Is there something...
Oh, them two. Okay.
Some would say a lucky...
I wonder how many secrets of the household.
Come, my little Grace. Order and method. That...
Okay.
The pieces
There
of
you
the
go.
puzzle.
If there is somewhere in this house where the secret lies, it will in the hidden room. Okay, we complete that one. Let's talk to her again.
Is there something you... That's all. I swear. I heard Monsieur Archie and Monsieur Felix talking about a storeroom, but I haven't found it.
Is the Countess aware of this room?
I told her it was somewhere in the house, but I didn't know where. She wasn't happy with me that I hadn't found it yet.
I believe if knew the location is secret store.
Merci,
Yeah.
mademoiselle.
Okay.
Your honesty today has helped me greatly.
I suppose that I will lose my position at the house now.
That is not my decision to make. But when the whole truth is revealed, it will not be the pawns the law looks to convict. We shall be coming for the Queen. This will not get
No.
me any...
Who's that? Well,
Magnifique.
and lies, secrets, what methods it could be possible. Oh, she's a blackmailer. Now I need to find a killer.
Mademoiselle, merci for coming.
Have you had a breakthrough, Detective?
I have. Finally, I have the news you have awaited.
Please, Detective, don't hold me in suspense. Oh my, I feel faint at the thought of knowing who could have done this to us.
It is said to keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. It is Countess de Vos that is behind the letters.
I don't believe it. What about the Major's letter?
Not only his, but a letter to Monsieur da Silva.
She was blackmailing him as well? Detective, I just don't know what to say.
Take a moment, mademoiselle. It is a lot of information to take in.
I just don't understand why she would do such a cruel thing. She has never been particularly forthcoming with it, only that she was homeless for some time and that she was at the women's shelter before here.
And it is there that the Countess abused her power and manipulated her to uncover secrets of the family.
All this time she has been working for Margot, doing her dirty work?
I am afraid so, mademoiselle.
At the cell, days of shock, you learn that a close friend of the family has betrayed them in such a cruel way.
Is Maman aware?
You are the first I have told, mademoiselle. Next will be the authorities.
I'm afraid that we'll have to wait. And we will. I want to see her punished to the fullest extent of the law. But we cannot telephone anyone, as the lines are still down.
Monsieur Archibald informed me earlier I had hoped they would be working again. Last night's snow must have caused more damage than expected.
Last night? They have been done all weekend, Detective. Detective? Are you okay?
How could I be so foolish? I saw Miss Darling talking on the phone. On the telephone.
Detective Poirot.
It was all a lie. The scene at my grab before.
Would you
He
like me
was
to fetch you a
telling
glass
him
of water, Detective?
My apologies, mademoiselle. I was taken by surprise for a moment, but I have regained my composure. A glass of water is not required. Would you excuse me? Merci.
Oh. Oh, no, I'm on that one. Okay, what I need to do now? Dig deeper into Archie and yeah. Now I'm going in. It looks like Lefebvre is on the way to see me.
Mademoiselle, what a pleasure to see you.
Detective,
It is a rather late hour to be wandering the halls.
Oh, yes. Of course. I do not feel myself, Detective.
If that is the case, you should be resting. Allow me to help.
No, that's quite all right. I will see to my duties and return to bed.
I wonder what he was doing.
Lizzie, excuse me, Elizabeth. Lady Van den Bosch has been waiting for some time now.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Detective Poirot was just...
I'll see to the detective. You just head on up. Off you go.
Good night, Detective.
Bonne nuit, mademoiselle.
Lefebvre is searching herself for the death of Major for uncontrolled memories. Her beloved loot, but maybe somewhere else. Hmm.
I'm sorry about her, Detective. As you can see, she is still not back to her usual bubbly self.
This weekend seems to have taken quite a toll on her.
She'll be right as rain in a couple of days. Now, what can I help you with?
As if by magic, you appeared when needed. I would like to speak with you and the remaining staff. If you could gather them in the staff pantry.
At this hour, Detective? Is that really necessary?
I shall be the one that determines what is and what is not necessary, and this is very much the former.
As you wish, Detective. I'll see if Inge is finished preparing for breakfast.
And Mademoiselle Rihanna?
Yes, of course. I'll fetch her from the kitchen. Elizabeth may be some time with the lady of the house. Perhaps you'd like to start with us?
Very well. I shall speak with Mademoiselle Elizabeth when her duties are complete.
While I am gathering the staff, Mr. Beckers is in the library. If you wish to join him, I could bring you both a nightcap.
I wish to keep a clear head, but there is something I wish to discuss with Monsieur Beckers.
This is my opportunity to comfort bankrupt deals. Before we do that, go to Hugo. Yes. Yes.
Monsieur Beckers, it is rather late. The other guests have already retired to their rooms.
I didn't even see the time. It's easy to lose oneself in a library this impressive.
That is something we can agree on, monsieur.
I suppose I should be heading?
Un moment, monsieur. There are some matters that we must discuss.
Oh, what is it, detective? I'm not sure what you mean.
A proposal to make you somewhat of a star, a figurehead for the working man. What would you call that?
There was certainly no talk of making me a star. That is not the type of man I am. She wanted to write a piece on my work with the union, and I was happy to oblige.
Always good to have the worker.
My speech? I'm not sure what speech.
You may save your false ramblings for your next audience. I am aware you spoke with the Major yesterday.
Whoever told you that has it wrong, detective.
Please, monsieur. The truth.
Okay, fine. Yes, the Major and I spoke, but it was not for long. I was trying to convince him to speak with Ernesto. It's time we brought the strikes to an end.
And that was best approached by a shouting match?
He wouldn't listen to what I said. I spent so long preparing how I was going to convince him, but men like him are only swayed by one thing: money.
It's not wrong. I've got these also. Can I borrow these for there? I can put them a job. God. Both of those. Yes. Okay.
It is said that money is the root of all evil, but it can also be a rather powerful bargaining chip.
Well, he was bargaining with people's lives. If he had acted sooner, none of those men, my men, would have to die.
The Major oversees the security. Oh, I don't need to do that.
A deal? It was an insult.
And that is why you did not sign it?
I didn't sign it because the workers deserve so much more, not his pathetic attempts to get them back to work.
Did you think there was a chance for a better deal to be made?
I know there was. He's a pompous swine that cares for only himself and filling his pockets.
I'm sure I heard discussion of the before. At least something similar.
Mademoiselle Conrad can be quite convincing, can she not?
She has certainly taken several wealthy business partners by surprise with her knowledge and prowess. She knows how to use her womanly powers to get what she wants.
But she did not surprise or use you.
Me? Used me? Don't be ridiculous, detective. There were no games played at my expense.
Poirot is a fan of my thought.
Perhaps some, but I'm not so easily manipulated or simple-minded. And I stand by that. It was an insult.
A rather bold move to make such a decision on your own.
I may not be perfect, but I've done everything I can.
Your efforts fell short in every respect. You claim to be the voice of the people, but you care about no one's voice or benefits but your own.
It's not as easy as just signing a piece of paper, detective. It is a heavy weight to bear on one's shoulders. I consulted with others.
You yourself spoke of Mademoiselle Conrad's cunning in business.
And I told you, I was not one of her targets.
Tell me then, what was it she reminded you of? The acclaimed man of the people you would be known as if you pushed the factory owners for more?
It wasn't like that at all.
From where I am standing, it was she that was manipulating the terms of the deal, and you in the process. You were merely her pawn.
Okay, yes, I know. I shouldn't have listened to her. But what else could I do? Remain an unknown my whole life? I didn't mean for anyone to get hurt.
It may not have been your intention, but we both know the result. You rolled the dice with those men's lives for fame, and you lost.
What does that have to do with anything?
I have often wondered about the competition siblings face in a large family.
When you're young, it is the best feeling to know you have family that will stand by you, without even being asked. It is not until everyone starts carving their own path that you realize you're walking yours solo, and those that were beside you are now miles away. My older brothers were the athletes of the family. They both played soccer, and were the infatuation of every teenage girl. I'm sure you have seen the type.
Oui, monsieur, but I can assure you that was not I.
Then there was me. Quiet, timid, a shadow of the Baker brothers. My voice and very presence was forgotten and ignored. Nothing I could say or do would ever reach the bar they had set. But I always knew I was destined for great things. Years passed, and now that I no longer stood in the colossal ombre of my brothers, I could become my own man. When the position of union leader was posted, it was my chance to tiny heard. You hear politicians speak of the little or the common man? Well, that was me. And I knew what we wanted and what we needed. When I spoke, others listened. I held their gaze with a sense of pride, a sense that what I was doing was for the greater good. It was supposed to be my crowning achievement, lead the men to victory over the money-grabbing oppressors. But instead, all I did was lead them to their deaths.
Monsieur, it was not at your hands that these men died. The blame cannot lie solely on your shoulders. Those responsible will be punished for their crimes. That you must trust.
Story is one fighting to have one voice, but be it a single one of Okay. While speaking, no, vision be this hour, you have progressed. Okay, we'll go to left. Thing is that no. No. I try downstairs. Injury. Dark quarters. Here we go.
Aha.
Newspaper. 2 days old. You know, candles up. I guess I would sleep. A war made that assumes it belonged to Major.
Oh.
There's nothing in there for it.
Huh.
Lay your legs up. Who's, well, yeah, what? Yeah.
Detective, what can we do for you?
You can help me by telling the truth, and in the process, help yourselves.
Sorry, Detective. It's a bit late in the night for riddles.
It is no riddle, monsieur. If I do not receive the truth, you shall all be charged as accessories to murder.
Detective, I think maybe you have been locked in this house for too long. We have already...
You have told me a version, and now I require honesty. Monsieur Sterling, is there anything you would like to add to your story?
I'm not sure what you think I have done.
Let us not string out this charade any longer.
from his associate. I've already told you, Detective. I don't know who it was.
Do not worry yourself on such details now. I suppose they were lucky to have called when they did. Otherwise, they may not have gotten through at all, with the telephone lines being down as of yesterday.
Aye, Detective. Lucky, I guess.
It's not full. I believe he was aware as victim or something.
Whiskey?
Hello, how you doing? It has been a while. Is he? Sorry, I saying your name wrong.
You took a bottle of whiskey to the Major. You spoke with Monsieur Demire en route.
Aye, of course. It was a bottle he picked up from his last visit to Scotland. Rather smoky number from the Highlands.
How you
He was
be
saving it
doing?
for a worthy occasion. Drowning his sorrows must have been fitting enough.
At first, he doesn't remember about it at all, and it's been by magic called.
Or was it the one from the West Coast? You'll have to excuse my memory, Detective. It's not what it used to be. Oh, you found it. Thank you, Detective. I've been looking everywhere for it.
If I had lost a war medal, I would not stop until I found it.
It's not what you think. I was...
Exploiting a dead man's military achievements for your own personal gain?
Nothing of the sort. He asked me to clean them up. I must have dropped it into my pocket
Oh.
when I was putting them back. An honest mistake.
I never heard such a used to explain they stole the item.
I wouldn't know. Probably.
Your father was in the military for many years. That is what you told me.
He was.
And your family still keep his medals.
They were sold.
And why was that, monsieur?
Is my family on trial now, Detective?
Only you, monsieur. And I repeat my question.
Because we needed money.
Voila.
Was very aware of metal value. When
No. He keeps them safe with some of his old military documentation.
Is that a typical job for the head butler?
He trusts me to do a good job. I told him I used to clean my father's, so he asked me to do the same.
And where does he keep these items?
In the storage room. I know where everything is, so it's just easier if I fetch them for him as and when he needs them.
I do not recall seeing any metal.
It's certainly better than my last.
You are paid a fitting wage for the work that is asked of you?
I'm sure the lady of the house would not want me discussing it, but I should not complain.
That is not the most convincing answer, monsieur.
Between you and I, we all work very hard here, and it would be nice if we were rewarded for it.
It seems Sterling is trying to confirm me as he.
Please don't go anywhere. If I require more information, I shall call on you again.
Next one?
Mademoiselle, I shall keep my questions brief.
I don't know what else I can tell you.
You have been honest with me so far. All I request is that you continue to do so.
Oui, détective.
Where? Informant with the blackmail, but I'm not sure if he also connected to Major's murder.
It was frantic in the pantry. We were working hard to make sure everything was up to scratch.
Go on.
Then Liz burst in, asking for Maman help.
Her help with what, exactly?
I don't know. she took Liz to one side, and I was needed in the salon. We spoke just after that in the pantry.
You did not question what she needed help with?
I was too busy. I love Liz, but she sheds a tear at almost everything these days. Although, I have never seen her look so pale.
Elizabeth still looked pale when I saw her on. I understand the amount of work that goes into keeping the house of this woman.
Merci. I shall return if I have any further questions.
What are these? Wait. Magic. Wait.
I must act on thought. Another success.
The major would not let Dr. Franco in the staff room.
Come, my little grey set. Is there something I must take a different approach if I am... Things are beginning to...
As I know at first glance, they belong to the members who.
What a revelation!
The theory that Major had been killed during the dinner is nothing but a ruse. Why the staff covering the real time death?
Order and method. That is the way.
What?
I cannot see the logic. Order and method.
No.
That is... I should not be surprised.
A staff member dressed up in Major clothes and took it fishing outside of the snow for the guests to see. Nick?
Mademoiselle, I shall be as quick and precise with my questioning as possible.
Okay. What do you need? Merci. He was a good man. Taken too early.
Forgive me, mademoiselle, for not extending them earlier, but I was not aware of your relationship.
He was my only brother. And he died doing what he believed was right. If I ever get my hands on who took him from me.
I understand why he's angry for to taken from this world at a young age.
You say the riots, but it was the strike he was part of. They started the riots, not the workers.
By they, you are referring to the security forces. They were brought in to keep the peace.
Security, huh? They were brought in to make an example of them. It was all peaceful until they arrived.
Why would they need to make an example?
So that the workers would stop rallying. No one is going to go on strike if they think they'll get killed. The security you talk of were armed and ready. The workers were pigs to the slaughter. What chance did they have?
It's obvious Marcel is still sad by both her death and rightly so. If they even were.
Yes.
This was before or after Archibald took him a bottle of whiskey.
Before.
You are sure?
It may have been after.
The whiskey is kept in the cellar with all the alcohol.
It is.
Then you must have noticed him going into the cellar and returning with a bottle through the pantry, no?
Yes, I suppose I did. It must have been before then.
It took her one question to put out her own story. Was couldn't see.
What is there to say? Being locked away in the pantry, I don't see her for most of the day.
That may be, but she came looking for your help before dinner was served, did she not?
She wasn't feeling well.
And she came to you.
I told you, we are a family here. The girls come to Mama Reh if they have a problem, and I fix it.
When I saw her earlier, I must admit she was not looking herself. Perhaps I should check on her.
No! Just leave the poor girl. She'll be fine after another bowl of my homemade soup. She just needs her rest.
I'm sure when his loving mother did a stab while people.
Merci, mademoiselle. This will not get me any Another success.
Okay.
Is there something?
Um.
I cannot
No.
see the logic. Come, my little grey cells.
Oh, there's someone down there.
What a revelation!
Well,
I must take a different approach if I am. I must act on thought, order, and method. That it.
oh,
Magnifique.
5 more. Medal.
This will not get me any.
Oh, medal.
The pieces of the puzzle are finally coming.
Because I've always been in it, but wait. Okay. Lift.
Some would say a lucky get.
Mansion.
I must take a different approach if.
Um,
Is there
No.
something
he's made
I must act on? I should not be surprised by my own.
Have a kind of part now coughing up.
Come, my little grace. I cannot see the logic in. Come, my little grey cells.
Can I beg over this?
Things are beginning.
Livers look pale, and the others members busy with their duty. We must found the body, but did not play a part in the murder.
Things are beginning to.
Be more.
What a revel.
No.
Is there something? I must act on. I cannot see the logic in this. Another success.
The stage phone was Abbott attends the great lamp to protect Elizabeth.
Magnifique.
Well, very young Ari is guilty to her own crime. Blackmail. The puzzle, I will attend my room. No.
I must take a different approach. I should not be surprised by my...
Slip away my liver is the murderer. I can't believe I didn't see her. Looking back, who's what there staring in my face. Hey, okay. Now to 8. Roof. Oh, it's so fast. People. Remember. I do not say it's another murder. No. Good dog. The one room. I was selling.
Monsieur Sterling,
Oh, Detective, I was just...
please. I eagerly await to hear what reason you give for being in the storage room at this hour.
A butler's job is...
I am no fool, monsieur. You have spun enough stories this weekend.
Honestly, Detective, you don't trust anyone.
And with good reason.
I've been thinking about my time with the family.
I often think on fond memories, but it does not take me to a storage room in the middle of the night.
There are many memories held within these walls. I just wanted to see them again.
And
I didn't realize the noise I was making.
Obviously. Were you preoccupied looking for another of the Major's medals?
Of course not. I already explained.
No, monsieur. You attempted to dupe me again into believing one of your stories.
Please, Detective. I know you know how it ended up in my possession. I was just trying to get some extra money together to send home. I can't lose this job. If Lady Van den Bosch found out.
Theft of a medal would be the very least of your problems.
Deceive? I'm sorry that I lied to you about the medal.
What are we at? Hello, Big Studio. How you doing?
Would you care to explain the fake telephone call? It was purely for my benefit, no?
Why would I fake a telephone call?
The same reason that Mademoiselle Rihanna dressed in the Major's jacket in the snow. To allow not only the guests, but me to believe the Major was still alive.
I didn't kill him, Detective.
I know, monsieur. But I also know that you helped the one that did to cover their tracks.
It wasn't like that. We were just trying to help. She had no part in it. You never let on. How long have you known it was her?
Monsieur, I am Detective Hercule Poirot. I only show my hand when I deem it necessary.
A minute. The message.
You will be taking her away then.
She will stand trial for what she has done.
But you don't know the full story. She is just a servant in this house. If she is arrested, that will be the end for her.
If Mademoiselle was only protecting herself, as you both have claimed, she will surely be found innocent.
The Major's military storage box.
The one that stored his medals.
Amongst other things, yes.
And those other things are?
I had to protect her. If you found it when searching the study, you would have carted her off then and there.
Whatever it is you have hidden, it will not remain that way for much longer.
Obviously, you decided something. So, research.
I need a moment.
You definitely.
Huh.
Oh, yeah. What'd you do to them? Goodbye.
Some would say a lucky guess. The pieces of the puzzle.
Is it in? I think in the secret room. Somewhere. The storing room. And we find a hidden room. Knife. Down to Major. Letter.
Huh.
Sorry, I'm not reading all that. Light. You look at. Oh.
Huh.
That's a key.
Order and method. This will not get me. Things are beginning to be.
No, murder weapon.
This will not get me any close. I must act on thought. Is there something I...
Oh, okay.
Some would say a lot.
Both belong to Major.
What a revelation!
Found the mask box. And it the top.
There is no use lying anymore. He always had his regiment lighter that he received in the war on his person.
And yet, it was not his regiment emblem that was engraved on it.
My father's. It must have fallen out of my pocket. You still have it, Detective.
Monsieur, you have stashed evidence, manipulated a crime scene, obscured my investigation, and yet it is a lighter that you worry about most?
If it is my path to end up behind bars for what I have done, so be it. It is Elizabeth that you cannot allow to be locked up without the truth being told. I have heard how you fought for that young maid before. Fleurette, is it? I only ask that you do the same for Elizabeth. You found it.
Even the secret area that has been created here is not concealed enough to stop Detective Hercule Poirot.
I couldn't just leave it at the scene for you to find.
The Major was killed by his own knife. The knife that protected his life during the war would eventually be the one that ended it.
It was in his holster, and he hacked her. He had hold of her arm. What else was she meant to use to get him off of her?
I couldn't imagine a Major would give his knife up easily. He must be so.
She didn't plan any of it, Detective. She was only defending herself.
That is what Mademoiselle told you?
She did, and I believe her. You think you knew the Major, but you had no idea. He was a monster and had more secrets than all of us combined.
That may be true, but that does not excuse what she has done.
Put yourself in her shoes for a minute. If a man like that had attacked me the way he did Lizzie, I would have done a lot worse to him.
As for stealing an offense that's in the Major.
I need a... Come, my little grey cells. I cannot see the logic in... I must take a different approach if I am... Magnifique.
On left.
Order and method. Is there something... I must take a different approach. Another success. I never doubted myself.
Drop a murder weapon from the window.
There is no use. When you asked me yesterday about seeing someone out there, I thought the game was up.
That does not explain what you were doing out there.
When Lizzie took me to the study, the knife was still in the Major's chest, and I knew I had to get rid of it. I dropped it out of the window, knowing no one would be going outside. It was fine for the time being, but I couldn't risk it being found when the snow melted.
So you collected it under the cover of darkness and stowed it away in here where you thought no one would find it.
After your questioning in the pantry, I knew you were onto something. and I couldn't leave it here.
And where did you plan on moving it to?
Honestly, I don't know.
Hopefully that one.
There is no use. Why what? Why I would risk everything to help Lizzie?
Exactement.
Because she is family. If you were in that position, you would do the same.
I can assure you, monsieur, that I would not.
Then perhaps that says something about you, Detective. I would do anything for her. For any of my staff.
Even if it means crossing the boundaries of the law?
Without question.
Yeah. The lamp that Stanley was going to go to protect someone. Person his family.
Aye, Detective. But please, you have to help Lizzie. It was all an accident. She doesn't deserve to spend the rest of her days behind bars because of that man.
Come on, Nick. Oh, sorry. Do you want to say anything?
If she is put behind bars, it is because that is what the courts have decided upon.
Detective, you can't be so cruel.
It is not cruelty, monsieur. It is the law.
My mind is busy. Ship. Major. I find out why. Killed him.
Order and method. I cannot see the logic in... I must act on thought.
One, two.
The pieces of the...
The final struggle left him in the lead. Do that one.
I should not be surprised.
Information, the blackmail.
Come, my little Grace.
Do that one then.
This will not get me any...
That one?
What a revelation!
I know here's one of them. Need to talk to you. Go ahead. That one.
I cannot see the logic. I should not be
Payment, the major in order to the tactic. Okay, one more.
Is there something?
No.
I must take a different approach if I... Some would say a lucky...
The death.
Order and method. That is... magnifique.
Oliver will probably lose more than anyone else. That's all completed. But then, as I live here, I must be. There's cells. No down. And there is sleep.
Detective Poirot, I'm glad you're awake.
Bonjour, mademoiselle. It has certainly not been a night of peaceful sleep. There is something that we must discuss.
Please, Detective, I'm not sure I can take any more surprises like last night.
I'm afraid this may be the most upsetting of them all.
You have found Felix's killer, haven't you?
I have. And the guilty party will certainly come as a shock.
Detective, please.
It was Mademoiselle Elizabeth that was behind the Major's death.
You must be mistaken. Elizabeth could not do such a thing.
I assure you I am not. It is something I spent much of last night deliberating. When you spoke of the telephone lines being out of order, it made me question the conversation I thought I had heard Monsieur Sterling make with the Major before connecting the call to him.
But it hasn't been working all weekend.
Exactement, mademoiselle. That is when I knew I had once again been lied to.
She was meant to be resting in the staff quarters. She has not been well.
I am afraid that was yet another lie, orchestrated to keep her from incriminating herself.
Why would you think that, Detective?
I only managed a few words with her before we were quite abruptly interrupted by Monsieur Sterling.
I must admit, he has a habit of speaking over the other staff.
It was much more than merely disturbing our conversation. It was done with the intention to prevent Mademoiselle saying something that she should not.
So, Elizabeth killed Felix, and then Archibald helped her cover it up?
In its simplest form, oui. I have heard it directly from the horse's mouth.
You have spoken with Elizabeth already? Did you?
Not Elizabeth, but Monsieur Sterling.
I wasn't. What were you doing in there, Detective?
It was Monsieur Sterling that I found in there. I was taken by some surprise to hear anyone awake at that hour.
What on earth was he doing?
He claimed he was merely reminiscing of his time with the family.
You don't believe him?
It did not take long for me to uncover the truth of why he was there, and the location of the Major's murder weapon.
Hidden area?
A room that held all of the Major's secrets.
I had no idea. Did you discover the reason for his blackmail?
I did. Were you aware he was dishonorably discharged from the army?
Dishonorably? What does that mean?
We're not hidden the truth from myself, but I will try. Yeah.
Yes, Gideon told me about the conversation you had. It is really quite upsetting.
Zachariah was adamant of the Major's cruelty during the war, but the extent was not known until now. He killed a number of prisoners, men that were friends of Zachariah.
Surely not. He would not do such a thing. They must have been trying to escape.
I am afraid not. They were in fact unarmed.
Oh, Detective.
It is the reason he was discharged, denied his military pension, and I believe the reason he fled England.
He had been such an important part of my life for so long, but I feel like I hardly knew him. In a sense, you said it was she that killed him.
It was her hand that held the knife, but he was quite insistent it happened in self-defense.
In all of the years I have known her, she has barely even raised her voice. I cannot believe she would do something like that out of malice.
The whole truth cannot be known until Mademoiselle Elizabeth has told her story.
Allow my sister.
Will you allow me to be present?
I think that is an excellent idea. I hope your presence will calm her and will perhaps allow her to speak more freely.
Please, Detective. I know she has done a terrible thing, but I beg of you to give her the time to explain herself.
I will offer Mademoiselle Elizabeth the fair trial that she deserves, as I would with any suspect.
Thank you, Detective Poirot.
Would you bring Mademoiselle Elizabeth to the study, where we will not be disturbed?
Of course, I'll find her immediately.
I believe Sterling was sent me.
Mademoiselle Elizabeth, merci for joining us.
Miss Angeline said you requested to see me urgently.
We have some serious matters to discuss, and I would like to waste no further time.
Oh, yes, Detective. Still not quite myself.
I was surprised when Monsieur Sterling hurried you to assist Madame Vandenbosch last night.
I should not have avoided my duties for so long. The house does not stop because I'm feeling a little under the weather.
That is true, But you cannot be expected to complete all your tasks if you are not in the right frame of mind.
Honestly, Detective, it was best for me to not sit and wallow anymore. Have you been able to uncover who the blackmailer is?
The blackmailer's identity has been established, and they will pay the price for their crimes.
Wonderful news, Detective. You can put it all behind you now. You must be thrilled.
I would not say thrilled, knowing that such a close friend has betrayed us.
Mademoiselle is correct. What I have learned over this weekend is that people are not always as they appear. While they may give an impression of being a friend or ally, they can in fact be something completely different.
And, what of the Major's killer?
Well, mademoiselle, that is why I have asked you here now.
I'm not quite sure what you want me to say, Detective.
Your honest opinion is all I ask, and, s'il te plaît, do not hold back. No one else felt it necessary.
We only spoke when there was something in the house to be done. We did not speak of interests or pastimes.
You knew of his work with Monsieur de Silva?
I only know what is required of me to know, and that is very little.
But you were aware of his work as security at Monsieur de Silva's factory.
I was.
The factory your beloved Luke worked at, before he was cruelly taken from this world.
Yes, Detective. Yes, that is where he spent his last moments. Standing shoulder to shoulder with his fellow workers.
The resulting riots were a terrible tragedy. One that I hope we will not have to see or experience again. Something that could have been avoided had the Major and his team done what was required of them.
Nobody deserved to die that day. Not my Luke. Detective, what kind of question is that?
It is a straightforward one. Mademoiselle, if there is something you wish to tell me, now is that time.
I'm sorry, Detective, I just don't know how to answer it.
Let us consider what we know of the Major. He fronted the militia that attacked the workers at the strike. You were aware of this? You finally had someone to blame for Luke's death. Someone conveniently located in the same house, alone in his study.
No, Detective. It wasn't like that.
Tell me what happened with the Major on the evening of his death.
I was only in here trying to prove what I heard Mr. Beckers say. I was going to report him, I swear. Miss Angeline, you believe me, don't you?
I want to. I am still trying to understand it all myself. Why don't you start from the beginning?
I was delivering Miss Angeline's dress to her room when I heard Mr. Beckers arguing with the Major in his study. They were ever so loud. I thought the whole house would have been listening to what they were saying. Mr. Beckers was talking about the factory strikes and how it was the Major's fault. He told him that if he didn't own up to his crimes, he would go to the newspapers.
I cannot imagine the Major would have taken kindly to Monsieur Becker's threat.
He didn't. He called him some rather uncouth names before Mr. Beckers left and went downstairs. I made sure to keep out of sight. After the altercation between the Major and Master Gideon, you went to speak with him outside, and I thought I could look around his study without anyone knowing. I had to know for sure. If it was true, he deserved to be held accountable.
And did you find the proof you are looking for?
I found a payment from Mr. De Silva, but there was nothing
What's your
incriminating
reaction
about that. I was so
Be
nervous.
attacked by mankind?
I felt like my heart was beating out of my chest.
And then you saw the blackmail note.
I recognized the writing on the envelope. I couldn't believe it. How could he do such a thing to Angeline? To the family that had taken him in?
Common sense would determine the Major was another victim of the blackmailer.
If I'd have used common sense, I wouldn't have been snooping around alone in his study in the first place. I heard the footsteps in the hall, and before I could move, the Major was standing in front of me, demanding to know why I was going through his belongings without permission. I tried to come up with an excuse, but nothing came out, and when he saw the letter in my hand, it was like Dr. Jekyll turning into Mr. Hyde. I tried to move around him towards the door, but he hurled something towards me, and it crashed against the wall.
That would explain the damage to the wall.
I froze. I have never been so scared in all my life. I thought he was going to kill me there and then.
And you thought you would beat him to it?
Oh, Detective, you make it sound as though I had it all planned. He lunged forward and grabbed me by the arm. I tried to push him away, but he was too strong. His grip just got tighter and tighter. If only you had seen the look in his eyes, I dared not even scream. I saw the sheath on his belt. I didn't know what else to do. I didn't want to hurt him, but he wouldn't let go of me.
So you took your opportunity to put an end to it all.
I just wanted to get him off me. I didn't want to hurt him. I reached for it and I jabbed it at him. His grip instantly loosened and I ran straight out the door and didn't look back.
You did not even look to see what state you had left him in?
She had just been attacked, Detective.
Oui, please. Continuez.
I ran down to the pantry looking for Rahana. She took one look at me and knew something was wrong. I explained to her what had happened and she went to find Archie. She said he would know what to do. We went back to the study and he was still lying there, motionless. Archie said that no one would believe me. That if someone like me killed someone like him, I would be sent straight to the gallows. He left the letter so you would find it. He said that if people knew what the Major was really like, then they wouldn't care what happened to him.
So I am to believe that it was Monsieur Sterling and Mademoiselle Rihanna that cleaned the scene and orchestrated a plan that included a fake telephone call and dressing as the Major so that he may be seen. You had nothing to do with that.
I swear I had no idea that is what they had done. Archie just told me to stay out of sight. I am no master criminal.
Then Monsieur Sterling and Mademoiselle Rihanna will be charged for obstruction of justice and impeding my investigation.
Please, Detective, they were only trying to help me.
If they wished to help you, they should have brought all of this to my attention immediately instead of committing more illegal acts.
Surely you haven't forgotten what happened with Fleurette. She was only accused of stealing a bracelet. I killed a man.
It is a day I have not forgotten, mademoiselle. Even for a moment.
Without your help, I don't stand a chance. Please, Detective Poirot, you are the only one that can help me.
Oh, Elizabeth, why didn't you come to me?
I didn't think you would believe me. I felt so guilty. And when it was announced yesterday that he was a victim of the blackmailer, I wanted to tell you everything. I came to find you last night, Detective, but Archie stopped me. I'm sorry.
Come, my little great. I must act on. This will not get me in. Things are beginning.
Oh, yes, Detective. I don't know where it is.
If you have been honest with me until now, I ask that you continue.
I'm sorry, I really don't know. Archie dropped it out of the study window and he said he would deal with it. I couldn't bear to touch the thing. Please, I was only protecting myself. I didn't want to hurt him. He just wouldn't let me go.
Oui, mademoiselle. I know. Mademoiselle tells quite the harrowing story.
I cannot imagine the Major acting in such a way. But Elizabeth could not make up such a story.
After learning what I have about the Major's character this weekend, I would not question the lengths he would go to in order to keep his secret hidden. I know that you share a close bond with Mademoiselle Elizabeth, but you cannot allow your personal feelings to taint your belief of what took place.
She has committed a terrible crime, but she will live with that for the rest of her life. She is not a cold-blooded killer.
If what she says of the Major's attack is true, she acted in self-defense. And in the law's eyes, a crime has not been committed. I will do everything I can to make sure her story is heard and a fair trial is conducted. Mademoiselle, it is time I addressed the house.
Are you sure? What will you say? What if they do not listen?
I can assure you, they will.
Elizabeth was right, though. She's just a servant. What if they...
Mademoiselle, when Detective Poirot speaks, they will listen. Would you ask the guests to convene in the library?
Of course. And what of the staff?
I have told Monsieur Starling to remain in the staff quarters with the others. When the authorities arrive, they shall be dealt with. You have been of great help to me throughout my investigation, and now that it is over, I have one final request.
You only need to ask.
While I am speaking with the guests in the library, would you watch over Mademoiselle Elizabeth in my room?
You don't think she will try and escape, do you?
In her position, I do not know what she might try. But I trust with you there,
Hello,
any
Game with Dad.
potential
Have
ideas
I
of
missed
such a
your
thing will
live
be
stream
squashed.
today? Okay. We're going to do the chapter 9 in the next one. Might do that tomorrow. This won't take me long at all.
Detective,
see
you
you
have spent
tomorrow.
more time making us sit and wait for you than anything else.
Madame Vandenbosch, if you think I have spent my time focused on anything besides
just-
uncovering the Major's killer, you
Okay.
are sorely mistaken.
I'm sure you will be eager to share your findings with us then.
All in good time, Madame. Firstly, to understand the truth of what has occurred this weekend, one must know the timeline of events that not only preceded the Major's death, but succeeded.
We are all well aware of what happened before, Detective. You can save your breath.
You are only aware of what the guilty parties wanted you to believe, but now I shall apprise you to the true events. The reason for us all being here, you know. The altercation between Monsieur Demire and the Major, you know. The body of Monsieur Hagen was found while we were all sat enjoying a most delicious meal. That you also know. But what was kept from us all was that his body lay on the study floor for far longer than was thought.
It was that servant. She found him.
S'il te plaît, monsieur. It was indeed young Inga that found the Major's body lying lifeless in the study.
So it was her.
Monsieur, I will not
What
allow
do they
for any
get?
further
Just like
interruptions.
cutscenes.
I return to the Major's body. If we are to believe the scene that we were presented with, the Major must have been killed during the first course of our meal, a meal that none of you left, even for a moment. Speaking in the evening, you all confirmed one another's alibis, and although there was doubt in the validity of some, I confirmed that they were indeed all true. What I could not understand was how a man came to be found dead, and every guest accounted for at the time of death. That is until I questioned the latter. Monsieur Beckers, I shall now allow you to speak. You saw the Major smoking a cigar in the snow. Is that true?
It is.
False. You saw what you were meant to see. Someone in the Major's coat standing outside, giving the illusion that the Major was still very much alive. Monsieur da Silva, on the afternoon of the Major's death, do you recall hearing a telephone ring?
Now that you mention it, I have not heard a single ring all weekend.
Correct. The telephone lines have been down for the duration of our stay, meaning the telephone call that was received and promptly directed to the Major's study was yet another act of trickery and deceit. But it did not end there. When I entered the study for the first time, it was obvious someone had already been there and falsified the scene to stage a burglary and clear away important evidence, including the murder weapon. What followed was an investigation that had already been hindered. But even those lengths were not enough to derail me for long.
I think we have all had enough of your self-praise, Detective. Perhaps you would like to tell us who killed him now?
Madame, as I'm sure you would expect, it is not as simple as that. What many of you do not know is the discussion that was had between the Major and Monsieur Beckers earlier that day.
What has that got to do with anything? I told you I didn't kill him.
That I know to be true. What you do not know is that it was not only his ears that heard your spoken words.
I hope you are not implying I had something to do with it.
No, madame, there was another. Mademoiselle Elizabeth. You are all aware that the Major was hired by Monsieur de Silva to front the security during the workers' strikes. What very few of you know is that it was the Major's order that instigated the vicious attacks on those unarmed men and resulted in numerous deaths, including Mademoiselle Elisabeth's fiancé, Luc. Monsieur Beckers confronted the Major, declaring that he was to hand himself in. That is what Mademoiselle Elisabeth overheard. Now, knowing the truth, she waited until the Major was away from his study. After he stepped outside following the confrontation with Monsieur Demir's fist, it looked to be the perfect opportunity, or so she thought. The Major returned and found her looking for the proof she required to hand him over to the authorities.
If the maid bumped him off, why hasn't she been arrested?
The events that followed in the study are not those of a cold-blooded murder, but one of a young girl that had no other option but to protect her own life.
Sounds to me, Detective, like you have taken a shine to this young girl and would rather protest her innocence than arrest her for murder, the crime she has committed. Jeez, this is gonna make for a juicy story.
Mademoiselle, I ask you this. You have seen the Major's anger before, oui?
What if I have?
How do you think he would have reacted if someone was to find proof that he had committed a terrible act, and that if made public, would surely result in his incarceration? Exactement.
It is quite the story you have told, Detective, but all I have heard is that Elizabeth overheard a conversation blaming the Major for her fiancé's death, and she murdered him in revenge. A servant killing a man that is as revered as he was. She will face the noose.
I am not denying that a man has lost his life, but it is not the crime of murder that you all believe. While the Major did not deserve to die in such a way, it was his actions towards Mademoiselle Elisabeth that drove her to defend herself in any way she could. Mademoiselle Elisabeth will be punished, but we will let the law decide the severity of her punishment.
She has played you like a fiddle, Detective, acting the innocent victim. She will be arrested and hanged for her crime, like every other cold-blooded killer.
Here.
Give her what she deserves.
The girl has got to pay for what she's done.
Those of you that are calling for the hanging of Mademoiselle Elisabeth, have you forgotten the roles you played?
Look, Detective, I see where you're...
Mademoiselle Conrad, if you are so confident of your innocence, perhaps we should begin with you.
To uncover truths. To show the world what it is really like out there.
Why then do you go to such lengths to concoct and
Listen, Poirot, I am not going to stand here and be accused of something like that. You know how damaging that can be to one's reputation.
You knew the situation surrounding the strikes, and only sought to swell the anger in people and create further chaos. Mademoiselle, you so often have something to say, and now is not the time for silence.
You really are delusional. Maybe you should just keep your theories and claims to yourself. Talking of sacrificing lives, have you forgotten what you have done? You know what it's like to get your hands dirty, Detective. You can't expect others not to do the same.
Mademoiselle, I do not have time for your excuses. Do you wish to state your direct involvement, or should I?
I'm sorry to disappoint you.
Now is the...
Okay, I'm going to stop it here and see you next time. Bye.